Welcome home. We are WNST AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore. We are Baltimore positive. Happy spring. Hockey season. We got all sorts of things going on. Leonard Raskin handles money. He is the handler of the American Dream here at Baltimore Positive. It's been a minute since we got together, but I mean the Caps have moved along. The Orioles
Yes,
pitching still
sir.
stinks, and
Yes,
Justin
sir.
Tucker is still on the Ravens team, and they've drafted Mike Green.
They brought a kick,
And
and they
I
drafted
don't
a
know.
kicker.
This is such a weird time. Like if I were taking calls all day and I had my old life back, which I don't want that old life back. I sort of like my
Right.
new life. But this baseball disappointment, and
Oh,
I was at the new Costas and Timonium the other day, did the show at Coco's the other day. I've been all around the city. Last couple of days, my wife and I have been out. We were down. We drank beer with Dave Sheinin at the with the church they turned into
a
the
brewery.
brewery down in
Yep,
Butcher's
yep.
Hill. So we went to Little Donna's and had pierogies over the weekend. That's how cool we are. So we got out a little bit, but everywhere I went, the Orioles, and it's at nighttime and the game's on.
Yep,
People
yep.
are kicking them in the nuts. People are telling me how I'm not going to go back to the games until they get better pitching. Just crazy stuff. They've won 192 games, and this is a different kind of disappointment, I think, Leonard.
Yes. Yes. I don't know what's going on. Same same manager. Now, obviously not the same pitchers. Same lineup pretty much. When they score, they can't pitch. When they pitch, they can't score. A very strange time in Birdland. Very disappointing. I would agree. I didn't think Kansas City was that good. They beat the Yankees 2 out of 3, lose 2 out of 3 to the Royals. The scores are obscene. It's a very weird time in Birdland. Very weird.
Well, from my perspective, to look at it and say we either have a season or we don't, right? I mean, I've owned a radio station
It
27
is
years.
only a month in.
What, but
Different than football a month in.
it even more so because it's really glaring how bad their pitching is, and
Right.
that hitting 4 home runs and still losing by 5 runs, they did
Well,
that.
they gave
That
up
happened on Sunday. They hit
seven,
4 home runs
seven home
and they lost
runs.
by 5 runs.
They
I
gave up
mean,
7 home runs.
in the history of the game, if you hit 4 home runs in a baseball game, you probably win that baseball game 92% of the
Yes.
time, right?
Yes.
Like
But if you give up 7, you probably lose every time.
oh no, I mean that was a Royals record. I talked to Luke
Yes.
about that. I'm like,
The Royals, if I'm remembering correctly what I heard, the Royals had not hit 7 home runs in a week yet this season.
they've never hit seven in a game in the
No, no,
history of the
no. Yes,
franchise.
yes, but they hadn't hit 7 in a week this year. 5 weeks in, hadn't hit 7 in a week. Hit
Seven
seven
on
in a
any
game.
night's a lot, man. Like
A
that's just a lot of
ton,
home runs.
and everybody gave them up. Everybody gave them up. Uh, Cano gave up 2. Morton gave up 1. Morton, I would expect to give up 1. Cano gave up 2. I don't know whoever else, but they gave up. It seemed like every time a bat hit the ball, it was in the splash zone, in the
I'm trying to figure
bullpen.
it all out, Leonard. You're a businessman. You handle people's money
I,
for a living.
I, you
The
know,
stadium's empty. They're giving away bobbleheads. The new owner hasn't really done much except put himself out in front of it in some way. The pitching's no good. The pitching's no good. But the part for me, and this is 27 years of owning a radio station here, of how
yeah,
many
yeah,
years we've had a February and a March and or an off season because the Ravens dominate everything until they get
yes,
eliminated or
yes.
whatever, right? So like it's not like we have to talk about them in November, December, but come January, February, March, they haven't really most seasons, most years of Angelos's not I mean the overwhelming majority,
Yeah,
there was no
yeah.
season. There was no thought they could even be 500. They come out of the gate, they stumble, they stink, they always stunk. They were going to stink. You knew they were going to stink in February. This is different. This is
Oh,
like they're
this is
building something.
expectation.
This is
2 years of playoffs. This was expectation year.
But not
Uh,
only that, new ownership. Angelos is dead and gone. They have money
yep,
bags. They
yep.
have all of these young 1-1 picks. The rebuilding, which could
Is
also be called a
over.
tanking, you
Supposed to
know.
be over. The rebuilding's supposed to be over. This is supposed to be a winning season. The good news, look, the good news is they're 5.5 out.
That's
Yes,
not good news.
no, no, no. Relatively, the way they're playing, they could be
Well, the good news is that nobody in the
way
division is
behind.
great, that the
Nobody in the
Yankees aren't
division
great.
has grabbed the lead, the reins, and said, we're going to dominate this division. Nobody has.
Well, they're not playing against the division, Leonard. They're playing against the wild card. They're playing against 88, 89, 90 wins loosely,
Yeah, but they
right?
should be
Like
playing for
that.
102
They can't
this
win
season.
102.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. This season, it's already horribly disappointing, the fact that they're not playing like that. I don't know.
Well, it's the individual part of the hitting. So I take on the pitching with Luke. Luke
Yep.
always comes back to they're not hitting. Like we knew the pitching was kind of going to be like bad,
Yep.
but we
Yep.
thought the hitting could overcome that on certain nights. Then there's the defense. Then there's the running the bases. Then there's just the general overall. Like you said, Morton gave up a home run. He came into a 2-run game that was still in the balance with a couple
Yep.
of home runs.
Yep.
The Morton thing is going to stand
Bad choice.
as Elias's Waterloo for him.
It's
And
a bad
and
choice.
this really does go back to Rubenstein, who knows nothing about baseball, literally knows nothing about baseball, but he's going to have to be the one who's doing the hiring, I guess, along with Arrighetti or whomever, their the think tank is to find the next baseball man, if there is such a thing. Because they didn't hire this guy. They didn't hire any of these people. They came in. He's got a bobblehead before Mike Elias got one or before Brandon Hyde got one. Maybe Brandon Hyde got one. I'm not sure who's manager of the
I
year.
don't know.
But nonetheless, these guys don't
Well,
know what they're doing. They really don't.
it amazes me. It amazes me. You talked earlier first about hockey season. It amazes me the rapid nature of general manager firings in sports. Really does.
Well,
I
this
mean,
speaks to Tomlin and Harbaugh being
exactly. That's what I was going to
eternal.
say.
Yeah. And Greg
As
Popovich, by the way, throw him in.
right. Well, he just retired. He's had
Yeah,
some
but there's
health
a reason he's
issues.
been there 40 years,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Right. But you look at general manager, coach, head coach, consistency in sports, and it is foreign. It is foreign, and whether
Because
it's
the impatience of the fans then
right
becomes the
demands
impatience
the impatience
of
of a bad
of the
owner,
owner, right?
of a bad owner. Now we can say whatever we want about the Ravens. They have had consistency. What, second longest tenured in the league, behind, as you said, Pittsburgh. Now Pittsburgh is kind of unbelievable because, let's face it, they haven't won a playoff game in a long time. Yet they're keeping their man, and the Ravens the same.
And Philadelphia's changed management like socks and now won 2 Super Bowls like
Right,
that.
right. You got to wonder what's the right prescription. Is Brandon Hyde the right guy for the going forward? Is Mike Elias the right guy for going forward? If
Well, the Phillies have been really good the last 20 years. What have they had? They've had 3 or 4 different managers, maybe 5
right,
different managers,
right.
right?
I'm just saying, if Rubenstein decides that Elias is his baseball guy, then he's going to put money behind him and let him make the decisions, which he has said he intends to do. If he does, then I guess it's up to Elias to decide and make the decisions around what it is he wants to do to make this team better. And like you said, maybe a couple of those choices aren't so great. I'm not going to blame him in one season. I just think it's disappointing. I'm one that says, okay, we had a bad season. Let's figure out what's going on. Let's turn the tide. Let's get back on top next year. I'm not adverse to hanging in there. My goodness, the NHL, talk about managers, playoffs, head coaches. They flip like a coin. They move like the season. Guys go from one team to another team to another team so fast, you can't keep your head around not only whose name's on the jersey, but who's behind the bench.
The
And
NHL has the least amount of that after Scotty Bowman, right? I mean,
right,
and
right.
fans here wanted that with Barry Trotz in Washington. I think you wanted everybody. I mean, everybody should have wanted that because competent
Right. He should
management.
have stayed, but
they're
he
3 coaches removed
threw
from
him out.
right?
Yeah, now they finally got a guy that can coach, and they got a guy who's also the general manager, brought in some good talent to let him coach, and the combination takes them into the second round. It's interesting, of course, I love hockey. You know that. I watch it all right now. And what's really amazing is nobody's given them a chance.
The Caps.
Nobody thinks the Caps can win this thing. In the East, everybody's talking the other series, the Florida-Toronto. The winner of that's the winner of the East. Like, really? I don't know about that. And then,
the Caps feel like they have an easier path with Carolina, right?
Yes. I think it's a great path to Carolina, and I don't care who wins the other one. They're second best team in the league for a reason. They play a hard brand of hockey. They score. They got decent defense. They got, when Logan Thompson's hot, a great goaltender, which is what you need in the playoffs. Uh, and you look around, my goodness, the last couple of days there have been some amazing Game 7s. There is nothing finer in sports than Game 7 in the Stanley Cup. Nothing. And holy cow, we had two amazing third period comebacks over the weekend. I don't know if you saw it, but if not, it was not to be missed. Must watch TV. Minnesota. Yeah, Dallas. Sorry, Dallas against Colorado. Down 2 in the third period, and a guy that played his whole career at Colorado that was let go because he was old and slow. Got traded twice, ended up with Dallas and destroyed them. Hat trick in the third period and won the game. And then the Jets, the New York Winnipeg Jets, the most cool fan base with the whiteout in the stadium. It's the greatest thing to watch. We're down two with 2 minutes to go. 2 minutes to go against St. Louis. Pulled the goalie, scored twice. Won with 3 seconds in the game and won it in double overtime.
Double overtime, Game 7. Double overtime, Game 7.
Double overtime.
And Winnipeg wins.
Winnipeg wins, double overtime, after being down 2 with 2 minutes to go. Just
I appreciate you bringing that up because,
amazing.
I mean, you know how much I've loved hockey all of my life, all of my career.
The playoffs are as good as it gets. And
you know, back in the 90s, I would go on and say it was better than sex. I said that for 15 years. I'd say Game 7 or the best, or Dayton Farrah Fawcett, watch Game 7. You know,
the best and the craziest thing, both teams, Jets and St. Louis, brand new coaches. Both coaches that were fired from other clubs because of a bad season come in and just ruckus hockey. Fabulous hockey.
Did I ever tell you about the time that I got stuck going to Dallas for a Game 7 and I got stuck in the sky over Texas and the plane went down in San Antonio and I missed Game 7 of the Colorado Avalanche and the Dallas Stars in the Western Conference Final. It wasn't. It was the big game. One. It was the big one. It was Game 7, and I wound up at the Alamo in the Riverwalk during a Texas thunderstorm in late May, and I wound up 6 hours away. The folks at United Airlines, I will give them this, they offered to put us on a bus from San Antonio and bus us to Dallas
6 hours.
And I'm like, no, I'll fly tomorrow. That's fine. So, you know,
I'll go home.
I'll see a Don Henley show in Dallas. How about that, huh?
There you go. That
was 24 years ago, Leonard. 24 years ago.
It's funny, Ness, as the games go on, these overtime Game 7s go on. They say this is not the longest game in NHL history.
By the way, I will say this.
25 years ago.
I watched that game in the airport in San Antonio where I had no business being. And it was like a terrible game. It was like a 5-1. It wasn't even so I didn't miss a good Game 7. I didn't miss Game 7, double overtime and all of that.
Well, these two were phenomenal. So now we're on to the second round of the NHL playoffs, which is a marathon to win the cup. The hardest thing to win.
Have you ever seen the cup get skated? Were you at when Detroit skated on the Caps? You were there that night?
Yes.
Okay.
Horrible.
All right.
Horrible.
I'm just asking.
The worst. Swept. Not only was it horrible, but at the time there was a gal that worked at the firm who was a Detroit Red Wings lover.
Hockey Town? Yeah.
Oh, Hockey Town. We made a bet, and I had to wear a Detroit Red Wings baseball cap the next day.
Oh,
it was.
I thought she was going to make you wear a Steve Yzerman sweater or something.
I would have. I would have paid off. But either way, it was terrible.
I've seen the cup skated three times. I passed on a fourth one. I gave my tickets when the cup got skated in Carolina, when Carolina played Calgary. I was at two of those games. My cousin lives in Raleigh, and he and his son watched the cup get skated. They're not even hockey fans, but
it's just a thing to do, regardless. I was hoping. I hate to say it. I was hoping the Blues could pull out the win. I was really hoping because the Capitals, second best record in the league, which would have meant they had home ice all the way through.
They need Winnipeg out.
Won. Right. And
You
with
don't want
Winnipeg
Winnipeg
out.
out. If you're in the Stanley Cup Finals, you want Winnipeg in.
Well, there's
You
other teams
want
on the
that.
West. The West is wide open. I would love, I hate to say it, I would love to see the Caps Edmonton. I'd love to see McDavid on a 7-game series against the Caps. I think that would be great. They lit them up. They lit them up when they
I would
played
go
them.
out to Edmonton with you for that because, like, I've never
Absolutely.
been to
I'd
Edmonton.
do it. I'd
I
do
would
it in a
do that.
heartbeat.
I
I
haven't
would
been
do
to a
that.
hockey game since Ovechkin handed me the cup and
Well,
said
there you
good
go.
night. And that was it. That was the end. So it's been 7 years for me. But
Right.
I've seen the cup skated 3 times, not just that night in Vegas. My dearest friends at the time downtown loved hockey,
Yep.
and
Yep.
we got a limo with 6 of us,
Yep.
and we jumped in it for game 7 because we knew the cup was going to get
Yeah,
skated.
sure.
My ticket broker got us tickets for it was like 250 bucks a person to do it. And
Yeah.
we had a limo and we went to the Brendan Byrne Coliseum to see the Anaheim Ducks
There
play
you go.
game 7 against the New Jersey Devils. The Devils won the cup. That
Right.
night they skated.
Right.
It wasn't a good game though. It was another one of those like 3-0
Yeah.
third period.
Anticlimactic.
Yeah. And then they skated the cup in a parking lot in New Jersey. And this was back when Claude Lemieux's pooping in the cup and back, Howard Stern and all. You remember all that, right?
Yep. 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 Yep.
Yeah, I hope you at some point get to see your team skate the cup. I,
Hey,
I
I'm
want that
hoping.
for you.
I'm hoping. I didn't go to Vegas. I had tickets for the next game, and they took it a game early. It's
They wanted
okay.
too early for you, did
They
they?
wanted a game early. I'll take it. Look, I'll take the win versus coming home and having to win it in
My
game
dad
6.
always tells me about the story of him and his neighbor, Danny Moran, who had tickets in 1966 for the World
Oh,
Series. And they at that time you stood line in the post office. I don't understand it all, but I'm giving
ugh,
you the story. You had to go to the post office to put in for your tickets to have the postmark, right? Like it
right,
wasn't stand in line at Memorial Stadium. So my dad got tickets and like they divvied them up, and
right.
somehow my dad wound up with the game 4, not the game 5. And he's like, you know, Danny never got to go. It was game 5. They won in 4. I was happy they won in 4, all of that. But it is amazing. Like poor Eddie Frankovic chased the Caps longer than you've been chasing the Caps. Like
Yep,
Eddie
yep,
Frankovic's a lifer. And he flew out to Vegas with me for games, what was it, 1 and 2 or 3 and 4,
yep,
whatever.
yep,
Yeah, 1 and 2, and then didn't come back for 5, but was ready for 7. The only
yep.
game he missed was 5,
And
and he
that's
missed
it.
the cup.
Missed the cup.
After 40 years of covering the Caps, he missed the cup.
Well,
So
going back to that,
I
this is
still feel dirty about that. I
oh,
really
this is a
do.
funny one. I remember that year, game 4, at the game, and a couple sitting in the stadium in the arena, Cap One. I don't know what it was called back 7 years ago. It might have been Cap One. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Bought Capitals season tickets for the following year. They were from Vegas, which got them Cup final tickets. So they flew from Vegas for game 3 and 4
To
with
sell the tickets on the internet for the rest of the next year.
for the next
basically.
year. But that got them tickets to the finals, game 3 and 4 from Vegas. That's die hard right there.
Well, but no, that's just moving money around, right? In
No,
the
but that's
modern era,
smart.
right?
That's good. That's good move, because how else are you going to get in the building? That's a good move. I was appreciative of their effort to enjoy the game. It was
Well, that
really
really,
something.
and that speaks to, and listen, I'm going to make this your homework because we're going to break it off
Yeah.
with the Orioles, but this goes back to Rubenstein and the
Yes.
Orioles and what their value proposition is and what the Capitals' value proposition would be for someone from Las Vegas to buy.
Right.
This is the oldest scam in the book, right? Buy the playoff tickets now
Yep.
if you get season tickets for next year. The Capitals have been running that promotion since Mike Gartner.
Forever.
Since
Forever.
Mike Gartner, right? Like
Absolutely.
literally.
I'm with you.
Well, I mean, the Orioles, the value proposition of their giveaway
Is
nights
come
and their
out and get a
bobbleheads.
bobblehead. May the fourth be with you.
Yeah, I'm really trying to figure out how baseball could get baseball people like Aparicio and Raskin.
Yep.
We're
Yep.
baseball people. We really
Yes.
are.
Yes.
And we're watching it, we're talking about it, we're astute about who their pitchers are and all of that. But like I don't see you calling me to go down there 2 weeks from Monday, right? I mean, like that's a problem for the Orioles in getting people in, and I'm looking at it as a business discussion for the community, for
Yep. Yep. Yep.
everybody in your space who's wealthy, who supports it or doesn't, or would or wouldn't, based on how it made them feel, or based on who the players are, or based on whether their grandkids like it in some
Yep.
cases, right?
Yep.
Or your son's over in
Absolutely.
Ireland getting smarter, and if he liked
Well, he wants
baseball,
to
you'd be
go.
there.
He does want to go. When he's home, we're going to definitely take in a game or two. Win or lose, he's watching. He's paying attention. He likes the birds, and whatever's happening when he's in town next, we will take in a game or two. There's no question.
I'm trying to figure out how the baseball team gets the city infected with baseball again.
Got to win. You got to win. You got to win. And right now, they're not winning. Look, this is a fair weather town when it comes to the O's. Has been for how long? But they got to win. And this year they're supposed to win, and they're not winning.
I hate when you
So
say that we're a fair weather town.
we are.
That's just offensive to me. It is. I
We
mean,
are.
but it's
When it
offensive.
comes to the Orioles, we are. A lot less so from the Ravens, but they generally are winning. But
Well, look,
this
I've
this
done two
town,
segments this week with Luke and with Rasig on drafting Mike Green, Justin Tucker being on the team, zero tolerance, whether it matters, it doesn't, and they
Mike
know it
Green, is
doesn't
that the
matter.
kicker? That's
No,
not the
no,
kid.
that's the edge rusher
Oh, that's the edge rusher.
with
Yeah,
the two
right, right.
sexual allegations.
Yes, yes,
Got
yes,
thrown
yes.
out of Virginia on a zero
Yes, I was
tolerance
going to say
policy.
because they
Got
they
drafted in Baltimore under the same zero tolerance policy.
yes, 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 yes. Well, can you tackle?
There you go.
Can you kick?
And you are the one that funds that bigly. You spend
Yes,
hundreds of
yes,
dollars every Sunday
yes.
on tickets to go, and you haven't spent 20 cents
Correct.
going to a baseball game. That
Correct.
is, I see that with my eyes when the games come on, right? I
Yep,
mean, I see,
yep.
right? And I feel that
Absolutely.
as I walk through the city. And I've been, I actually went to that little Donna's place down in my old stomping grounds on Bank Street and had dinner. I went to the ministry with Dave Shinan and had some booze, moved around the town a little bit. I was at Coco's last week with people and, talking Justin Tucker, talking Oriole baseball, talking
Yep,
pitching.
yep.
People want
I don't think
sports to be a
anybody knows.
certain
I
way here,
don't think
you know?
anybody knows about Green yet. I don't think that's a big topic yet.
Well, I don't know how it can't be if Justin Tucker's a topic.
Well,
It either
because
is a
people
topic
don't
or it
know.
isn't. It's
I
either
just don't
people
think
care
people
about
know.
it or they don't care about it.
Has it been
If you
written
watch
about
the
a lot?
draft at any point, that kid dropped for a day and a half because of this, and the
Right, but
Ravens were the ones that took him.
I didn't know they talked about it.
Well, go
I
ahead and
wasn't.
Google it. I don't know what to tell you.
No,
I mean,
I'm
I know
telling
you
you,
were
I
away
will.
that weekend, but check
I
it
will.
out
I
as
will.
a
Because
fan,
I
as a citizen,
did
as a
not know.
season
Did
ticket holder.
not know.
But it doesn't matter. They could have took Son of Sam to play middle linebacker, and as long as he can tackle, you know what I mean. So that's
Throw
just
the
kind
ball,
of where
catch
they
the
are.
ball, run the
Leonard, tell
ball.
everybody what you do in the
We
money
do money.
space. Yep. What do you do?
Everything money. Make sure that you are properly protected, that your cash flow is intact, that you're saving money, growing money efficiently, effectively, that you have financial success, that you're moving towards your version of the American dream. I'll wrap up with a sad story, and hopefully there's a silver lining. I got a call from a client of mine over the weekend. One of his best friends, dear best friend's son, 55 years old, had a medical condition while he was driving, ran off the road, hit a tree, and was killed.
Ugh, that's my age.
55.
I hate hearing that.
Dude, married, children, and I expressed my condolences. Obviously, I know the family. I'll reach out to them, and then my brain goes to, did he have appropriate life insurance to protect his family? Because what I see too often, sadly, in that situation from people that I don't work with is GoFundMe comes up after this person passes away. Not in this case. I'm not saying this guy. But people that don't provide for their families properly end up with GoFundMes, which is not insurance. And so we make sure people are protected properly, saving efficiently, investing properly, understand what they're doing, and achieving their American dream, whether that's going to a game 7, whether that's taking the kids to Disney, whether that's, whatever that is for you, buying a home, educating your kids, paying for some college, whatever that looks like, we are here to help you produce that result financially in your life. And we have no investment minimums. We don't discriminate against who we meet. We have clients from 22 to 92 years of age. We work with people that want help with their money, and we help them with their money. That's what we're about.
Leonard Raskin, he is Raskin Global, following the American Dream. You can find him out at the front of Baltimore Positive, also at raskinglobal.com, where there's all sorts of sort of wisdom and stories and blogs and information and ways and resources to better take care of your resources. Speaking of resources, we got National Racehorses coming to town this week.
Yes.
Sovereignty in as the Kentucky Derby winner. Preakness around the corner. I'll be doing some Preakness coverage next week. Also going to be broadcasting from the Maryland Party. We had Howard Perlow by last week, as well as Jamie Costello at Coco's. Also, Senator Corey McRae. Great conversation with him about budgets, Annapolis, Kerwin, where the money's coming from, where it's going from. Also had a great chat with John Martin this week about the money that the lottery raises. We're going to be doing a little lottery raising on Wednesday in the old stomping grounds of White Marsh. We'll be at the Avenue. We'll be at Red Brick Station on Wednesday afternoon doing the Maryland Crab Cake Tour. Been a long time since I've had a crab cake in White Marsh. Even Della Rosa's is gone now. It's a Jamaican joint, which was delicious. We'll have the Back to the Future scratch-offs to give away on Wednesday in White Marsh. Come on out and say hello as well. My thanks to Leonard Raskin and all of our sponsors here, including Curio Wellness, Liberty Pure Solutions, putting us out on the road this week. And, of course, Luke monitoring all things Ravens as well as Oriole baseball as they go West Coast this weekend. I am Nestor. We are WNST, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore. And we never stop talking Baltimore positive.